And we're talking about inflation today and how it affects our finances and the wider economy. Later in the programme, we'll be discussing the issues some businesses are facing when trading with the EU. But let's look stateside for now. Scottish exports to the US are worth an estimated £5.5 billion a year. I'm really happy to say I have a friend of Drive Time in the studio. Hello.
Hello. It's
Ian
a pleasure to be here.
President of the Scottish Business Network in US and its ambassador in Washington.
Yes,
it's an honour to have you with us. I should have dressed up. You're smartly dressed in a suit. I've got the shorts on.
Came just for you.
No, you didn't. But you're here doing a really important job. So we normally talk to you in Washington.
Yes.
You represent us, Scotland, and the Scottish interests in the US. What are you doing today on this trip?
Well, I'm coming out here initially for a fantastic conference on research that was happening at the University of West of Scotland. And so I just spoke this morning to UWS at the Lanarkshire campus, which is an extraordinary place, John. If you haven't been there, you need to go there. And just a remarkable location that, to me, speaks of Scotland, modern, contemporary Scotland. It sings of that, the campus itself. The message I try to communicate is just that Scotland has this deep heritage that we've talked about before that really quite inspires people, that being also tartan, etc., that will inspire people to come to the table. But my mission has been to really profile what Scotland is about, to engage with the chambers of commerce. I'm just coming from a meeting from the Glasgow Chamber of Commerce and Scottish Enterprise, and have engaged with Forth Valley Chamber of Commerce and Inverclyde. What I find, John, through those sectors is that you have these businesses, sometimes fairly micro-level businesses, but the SME sector in Scotland is vibrant. It's creative, it's innovative, and so my mission, and I am so committed to this, is telling the story of modern Scotland, and not only, John, the commercial side, but the charitable side. The third sector in Scotland, and perhaps we call it the third sector, but maybe we should call it the first sector, because there's nothing more important in a global economy than helping people in need.
You know, you and I have arguments with people most weekends about the importance of charity, that much of what we do would fall apart without people giving of their time or their money.
Huge.
And it's one thing we never broadcast about. We don't speak to politicians, but we don't talk about how society's papered together because of charities.
It's a huge area, and not just for Scotland, but for Scotland to engage with the world, to talk about the importance of what you just said. It's collaboration to share best practices. I was just in Govan and meeting with Govan Help, so just locally meeting with the food pantry. Absolutely stunning what they have done at Govan Help, now over 25 years, but they're feeding people in need who are coming from all over the world. I'm proud of that.
So your dad's Scottish?
Yes, he is, from Scotstoun.
And you are effectively our man in the US. So when you talk about, and we've discussed this a little before, about the image is tartan, whiskey, golf. What's the image you'd like Americans to know about, and what do they want to hear from us?
First of all, there are just many voices to be deferential to all the people, say, in the Global Scot Network, etc. They are really advocating for a similar message that I advocate for, including the Scottish office within Washington, within the British Embassy. I think it's important, first of all, for us to recognize that it is okay for people to come to the table to want to celebrate their tartan, to celebrate a family heritage, to celebrate all the caricatures, perhaps, that they have of Scotland. Nothing wrong with that. But I want people to understand that Scotland is a place that, again, is just getting on with things. Not a perfect place, but it is a place that is, if you walk around Glasgow, it actually would be quite pressed to find a piper right now or a kilt shop. They're there, but what you will see are modern businesses of people getting by, of university students who are really quite contemporary. Scotland is a contemporary nation. If I just boil it down to that simple point, Scotland is progressive and contemporary. That's the message I want to communicate.
Here we are in a post-Brexit world, and we don't have a trade deal. So in terms of the challenges, what are the challenges that we are going to face as a country with people like you in the US helping us over the next, months and years? What are the big challenges?
Well, the challenges I think that we face right now with Brexit, I am always of a mindset, you know me well enough that I tend to look at things optimistically. So I've come up with a term that I call center. And by that I mean replace the C and put an S in there. And that is, how does Scotland enter the world? Not leave, but enter the world. So all businesses, universities, charities, chambers need to think globally. The challenges that we face, I think, here back in Scotland are budgetary. It's challenging. We just heard about the challenges that people are facing in their lives and thinking, well, just trying to see that the trains are running on time. I'm not sure that I want to be thinking globally at this moment. The challenges are going to be budgetary. I would hope and I would advocate that the Scottish Government itself, alongside the UK Government, are providing enough resources in the budget for international affairs. So right off, there are resource challenges, but there are opportunities that exist. I would advocate, John, that if businesses are listening right now, or charities or universities, the point of engagement isn't necessarily Washington, D.C., as important as it is. It's to local communities in states and cities that might not come to mind immediately. St. Louis and Salt Lake City and Tempe, Arizona and Madison, Wisconsin, places where Scots and Scottish companies can more effectively engage, and not necessarily just New York and Washington, D.C.
Ian, great to see you in the flesh.
My pleasure,
We've
my
chatted
friend.
so many times over the years.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in. Really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And we're so glad you're with us and doing the work you do. Ian Houston, President of the Scottish Business Network US.